In order, please rise for a silent reflection and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A roll call, please, Jeff.
Mrs. Cynthia. Mrs. King.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. Schuler.
Here.
Mr. Tinkin.
Here.
Mr. Vorbach.
Here.
Mayor Mechanic.
Here. Please read the Open Public Meeting Act.
Pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Borough Clerk, posted on the Borough website in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the CoStar newspaper, and mailed to those requesting notice and providing payment in accordance with borough policy.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Any questions?
And Mayor, as discussed in the executive session, we're adding resolution number 153, which is the appointment of school crossing guards for the 2014-2015 school year.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, we need a motion to amend that, Council, or just go ahead?
No, that's fine.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. Schuler,
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach.
Yes.
Thank you. And this, we immediately move into the public comment section, where the public may speak on any agenda item you like. Just step forward, give your name and address. Seeing no hands, I need a motion to close public comment.
Make that motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No discussion items at this time. We'll move right to the council reports, and we'll begin with Councilman O'Brien. Do you have anything from finance?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Schuler?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. King?
None at this time.
Mr.
Nothing at this time.
And Mr. O'Brien. I'm sorry, Mr. Tim?
Rec soccer is going to be starting up this weekend. We sent out preliminary information, and more information is going to be coming tomorrow and Wednesday.
Thank you, Kristen. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Reports and correspondence. We have a resolution from Monmouth County Freeholder about the right-of-way improvements on Warren Avenue. Everyone see that? And that has to do with the
Traffic.
installation of the traffic light.
Traffic light.
Right, Sarah? Okay, that was from your... And the other correspondence is the right-of-way on Lake Drive. Did anyone have a chance to look at that?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
The only questions I have is, you know, what, I don't really have a problem with it per se, but the three points I wanted to make about it was, if we agree to this, what liabilities will the town incur? For example, will we have to plow snow? Will we have, you know, are we on the hook for a lawsuit if someone trips and falls, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, you know, what are we opening ourselves up to?
Good question.
Why don't we just simply sell the land to the people? And what do the neighbors have to say about it, you know?
Well-
So those are the only three things I'd like us to consider.
Okay. I'm not sure what the neighbors have to say about it, and I'm not sure how the council feels about your recommendation there about selling it.
Well, it's just an idea, you know, it's not necessarily a recommendation, it's just one of the things we could weigh.
Okay. As far as liability, that would be a legal matter. We should grant the right-of-way to the,
If it's a public right-of-way, liability for whatever happens on the public right-of-way, it's open to the entire public, not just the people on the other side.
Right, so it's squarely on the town's shoulders then, right?
For any activity in a public right-of-way, there are a number of immunities that apply to protect the town, but yes, it would be on public property. So that is.
It's a nice thing for us to do, but if we're opening up a potential liability that the taxpayers may not want to incur.
Possible, yes.
Do you have, Jay, insights on this, or no?
All I can tell you is that what information I do have available is that This property has been the subject of 2 recent informal reviews by the planning board. Again, they were informal reviews, so property owners within 200 feet were not notified as they would be if it was a application for approval. As I understand it, this proposal was one of the items that came up or was included as part of the informal review by the planning board. I might suggest that the way to approach this, because there are obviously some questions, that we set this down for discussion at a future meeting and invite the property owner, in this case it's a contract purchaser, to come in and provide some explanation, and we'll also make arrangements to have our borough engineer here, and by that time the attorney would have the opportunity to review this one.
That's a good idea.
I would like to see it go back to the planning board and get their input on this too.
So that all speaks to tabling this to a future meeting, right?
Well, if you want to wait until the planning board weighs in, again, they have weighed in on an informal basis. The nature of an informal review by the planning board doesn't lead to definitive determination or approval or denial of the application. The property owner, again in this case the contract purchaser, it's whether the council approves it or first or the planning board ultimately approves it will require both set of approvals. In this case, I believe the applicant is pursuing both simultaneously. They have filed an application for the subdivision based on the information that the council has been made available. So again, whether you want to do it after the planning board reviews it, or you want to schedule this a session for our next regular meeting or some other future meeting, that's up to the council.
I would defer to Jim's idea to wait, you know, if that's a good
I would
idea.
like to know what the planning board's
Yeah, good idea,
feelings
yeah.
are on it.
I think what we also have to do here is this piece of property came up in discussion a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I know Kat Crippen is here, and I can't remember exactly all the particulars, but the resident that lives just north of that property was concerned about who owned property and the paper street that was supposed to be there, and several other items of discussion. I think, number one, we should go back and research that, because I find it very interesting that there was a big concern then about a street, and now we have someone who wants to put a street in there. And I think we should get a little bit of background, because I'm not so sure that many of the members know anything about that. Do they, Kat?
It wasn't that it was a street. There was a request to vacate the street, which the council could not honor because that would effectively landlock this parcel that's
Okay.
being looked at for development, which is against the law. And that was one of the concerns that the planning board attorney brought up to us at 2 informal reviews, was that you really can't refuse the application, because then you're landlocking him. There's no other way into that parcel of property. The house that's on the street, the nearest property owner, the only other real access to that lot is there is a right-of-way on his driveway to the north of the house.
Right, you can tell that from the sketch.
So that's the only other way in. And the intent, if you go back to the original map of the town from 1926, which is in the basements, drawn on linen, that road is in there. So there was an intent always to develop Lake Avenue from the railroad to the highway. Obviously, that's never going to happen because of the way houses have built up over time.
Correct.
But the planning board really didn't have an issue with that. It's another driveway cut. And I think the issue that came up was that it could be a street and would be part of Lake Avenue, or it would be a driveway. And if it was given over as a driveway, then the residents who, if the plan is approved and there's 2 houses built, those residents would be responsible for snow removal. If it was a dedicated street, then it would be up to the borough to do the snow plowing. So.
Thank you.
I think the planning board meets third Wednesday, is it, Jay?
Yeah, that application is on for this month.
It was at the third Wednesday? Jay?
Yeah.
Okay, third Wednesday. And then our meeting will be right after that.
Yes, the planning board is scheduled for Wednesday, the 17th. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is Monday, the 22nd.
So we have something back by then. Any questions? Thank you. Anything else?
Mayor, then, just so I'm clear, in anticipation of the planning board reviewing this on the 17th, would you like me to anticipate scheduling the contract purchaser to be available at our next meeting to answer any specific questions the council may have?
Yes, good idea, yes. No ordinance introduction at this time. We do have a few resolutions. Resolution R 2014-146, authorizing amendment to the agreement with Monmouth County Co-op. Need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Second.
Do you have any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-147, authorizing refund of overpaid or canceled taxes.
I'll make
Motion
that
and
motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-148, resolution appointing Alexander Hamilton and Dylan Madonna as regular members of the fire company. A motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-149, authorizing designated borough employee to outside employment. Motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Resolution R 2014-150, confirming appointment of a part-time code enforcement officer, Mr. Neil Hamilton.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Resolution R 2014-151, appointing the representative to the Southeast Monmouth Municipal Board of Adjustment. I would like to appoint Mr. Joe May. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to move the bills to the Finance Committee.
I will make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-152, approving the payment on the itemized claims for September 5th, 2014.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2014-153, David, is the crossing guard officer.
Yes, it is. This is confirming the appointment of school crossing guards for the 2014-2015 school year.
Okay, thank you. Need a motion and a
I'll make
second.
that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, Jay.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorbach?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, we have the public comment section. This time, you may speak on any item you'd like to step forward, give your name and address. Thank you.
Larry Fenton, 905 Lake Avenue. Just a couple of quick items. One of my normal travels around town doing my errand and stuff, I've encountered a few intersections where, because there's overgrown vegetation at the corner, line of sight is really interrupted there, and it's like, dangerous. I believe there is a town ordinance that says you can't do that. It's got to be there. Specifically, I know in my section of town, you go across 9th Avenue heading south, try crossing Ocean or turning onto Shore Road and see, you know, if you have to skip a little beat when you're going across. And the same thing at 8th and Ocean when you're traveling south. And I'm sure there's others, you know, those are just the routes that I normally drive. So, you know, I don't know, I wouldn't want to, you know, I don't think it's something the police officers, you know, need to do sort of thing, but, you know, they're the ones who travel all the streets around here. If they, you know, if they notice it on their drives, perhaps they could, you know, let the appropriate person know, so maybe something can be done, because they're going to be the ones cleaning up the mess when somebody gets smacked there. Particularly the one at Shore and 9th, I mean, you barely see the stop sign now, and you can't see anything coming at you, so, you know, try driving. The other thing is, and maybe it's been taken care of, and I don't know, and that's disaster preparedness. I know a couple of years ago when we had Sandy, I was one of the folks here that was, you know, charging my cell phone here at the, because this is one of the few places that had a generator around. And I thought that was kind of on its last legs at the time. I don't know if that's been replaced or not. I know you borrowed one, I believe, from the fire department for the community center, and that lasted about 2 days and conked out. And I know it's been on the school board's thing for, you know, for a shelter there, but I don't know for a number of years if anything has ever been done. And, you know, we do need a shelter here if we, you know, something really inappropriate, you know, something happens on disaster. I mean, when we have Sandy, it got a little chilly, but that was so bad. But you get a snowstorm, when you lose heat in the middle of the winter, and some folks haven't need a place to go to, the school is the appropriate place probably in town that would be a shelter. So I would encourage the council to work in coordination with the school board to see if there's maybe something that could be done there. And also where the council is responsible for the facilities, and make sure we've got appropriate generator or that sort of thing that you know, would be helpful.
As far as heat goes, we're going to generate the community center, correct?
We have pending 2 applications to improve, actually it's sort of a jigsaw puzzle. We were, as a post-Sandy process, we had submitted applications through FEMA and the State of New Jersey Office of Emergency Management for generators at both the community center. This building, as you're aware, has a full generator. That was not approved through that process. We are continuing and have been preliminarily approved for improvements to our wastewater pump stations, both at Black Creek and at Shore Road near the railroad. The plan is to improve, actually there will be a total rebuild of those facilities and include new generators that are elevated to the proper level. Our plan is to reuse a generator from at least one of those locations to provide generated power at the community center. So we have looked at a couple of different options and haven't ruled it out completely.
Yeah, and I know, you know, you're not responsible for the school thing, but I think it's something to work in concert with them on some. I mean, one of the times when I was here, the shelters I've been involved were all full, and they were suggesting that folks wanted to need a shelter, go out to the horse park in New Jersey. I mean, that's a 30-mile drive. I mean, if it's that bad, I don't think I want to get on 30 miles of road to head out there. So, I mean, I think it's something all the towns here need to look at and take appropriate action. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have one quick concern. Catherine Hahn, Central Avenue, talking about the traffic signs on Shore Road and Jersey at the point. There, I saw almost 3 near accidents this summer because they're coming from east and west. And there is a yield sign there, but it is so far back that the trees are all hidden. I mean, it's really far back from the point. And I was thinking if maybe they could paint the word yield in the street. You know, on the blacktop, you do see that on streets.
Yes, I see.
And then that yield sign, I really feel that that should be moved up. It's really far back if you look at it. I really didn't barely notice it. Because when you're traveling going to Jersey and you're meeting the point and people are on shore, you really cannot see that yield sign because the trees are all grown over it. So maybe you could just look at it and see what you think.
Our Councilwoman King is going to check into that.
Okay, thank you.
With the police, correct?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Anyone else?
Corbeil, 6 Nadine Drive. I have a couple of questions about the electronic speed signs that are throughout the town. From the time they've been put up, many of them have been out of service more than they've been in service. So my first question is, are the taxpayers paying for the repair on them, or are they warranted, and is the manufacturer paying for them? Who's footing the bill for fixing these?
It's a safety item. I don't know what police know anything about that.
Can you address that? I'm only aware of one sign that was out of service for a period of time, and that was sent back, and it was repaired under warranty, actually replaced under warranty. They are at times turned off, and the specifics of that I don't know. They're also somewhat portable in that they have mountings and they're used in various locations. But the specifics that you're referencing, I'm not aware of.
Okay, well, there's one on Wall Road between Ashford and Nadine
Okay.
that has been gone for the better part of a year now because it was inoperative. There was another one, I haven't been down Ocean Road, but there's another one on Ocean Road near to Highway 71 that's been gone for quite a while.
And again,
Well, they moved them around.
They moved them around or not working?
The mounting is there, but
Oh, they moved them around.
They moved them around.
Oh, so there's more mountings than there are
Yes.
Correct.
signs?
Correct.
Okay. The other question I have is if you go into any other town, those signs are mounted on freestanding stanchions of some sort. Ours are all mounted on utility poles. Question is, did we get permission from the power company and the telephone company to mount them on there? Because if not, we're in violation and they have the right to take them down.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. I don't know how long they've been there. We could check on that. I presume that the police placed them where they're permitted, but we could have to check that.
Okay, because if you go to any other town, you see that they're mounted on separate stanchions or poles.
Right, and again, these, as I understand it, the two that were obtained with the plan to use them in various locations, as opposed to have the permanently mounted models.
Well, I'm speaking of the permanently mounted models, not the trailers.
No, most of the units that we have are mobile in the sense that they're not trailers. They're mounted, but the mounts are located in different areas.
Okay.
So they're not permanently mounted.
Yeah.
Those fixtures that they fit in are on different locations in town, so they take one from here and put it over someplace else for a while. They're
Okay, all right, so as I
constantly
said, there's more mountings than there are
Exactly,
fixtures.
exactly.
Okay. But some of them have been out of service, sitting on poles and not working.
But I think, are they, but they're not always on, so I'm not sure if they're out of service or they're just not turned on. They're turned on at different times, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Seeing no hands, need a motion to close the voice of the public?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
At this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.